brother?
All right, definitely ready.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the J.O.B. podcast, episode 4. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Dave Ford.
I'm Ty Steele. Has it been 4 already?
It is 4. Feels like it's been more than that, to be honest with you. All those videos that we're cutting in between are definitely giving us some depth during the week, and we had a light week this week.
Very light, very light.
It was hard. It was hard to keep up the bar that we set last week. I think we kind of got a little high on that one, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I think it was a lot of emotions going last week.
Yes.
A lot of stuff came out. And very interesting. Great conversations that I've been carrying on with people all week. I think I made a lot of new friends.
Mm-hmm.
Our YouTube world, it seems to be responding. I think it's like our highest viewed video.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
we definitely need to get more followers. So y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment today. I'm looking at what you're going to say, and if you want me to pose a question, I can pose a question right here. But you know, we're going to talk about bullying today. I can't say I'm excited for the conversation, but I'm not excited about some of the things we're going to talk about, some of the situations we know happened, especially being in the educational world.
I gotta admit, dude, today was hard for me. Kind of like you said, hard to get up for it. As far as, you don't want to say excited. I don't think anybody gets excited about bullying, but it's one of those where you feel motivated to help kids and to help adults alike, because we were kids one day and we still remember things that happened to us.
Oh yeah.
We carry those with us, and then we just hope as parents that we can try to protect our kids. There's really so much that we can do.
Yeah, I know our kids don't believe we were kids one day.
No, they don't. They think we just popped out like this.
Yeah, but we was actually kids. We actually experienced bullying, went through bullying myself. Probably felt like in a lot of lights, I probably bullied some people. Looking back on it, I kind of feel bad for it now, but I realize a lot of stuff was my defense mechanism. So
Yeah.
let's dive in. I mean, let's talk about this week. What you got?
Well, I mean, I guess I'd like to intro it by talking about my most vivid experience as a kid.
Okay.
And it's old school because this is the way it used to be done.
Oh yeah.
It's not really a sad story, but it's mainly, I guess it really makes my dad look really good, is what it does.
Okay.
So this is it. I think I was in 2nd grade, and riding the bus home, like everybody did back then. And there was this kid named Tony. I still remember this kid's name. I think he seemed huge to me.
Oh,
But
yeah.
when you're in 2nd grade, everybody seems huge.
Oh yeah.
I think he was probably in 5th or 6th. Either way, much older than me, okay? And he had been getting a little physical on the bus, kind of nudging, elbowing, stuff like that. And I can't really remember how we got to that point. I honestly have no memory. Did I say something to him? I don't know. But one day we got off the bus. I remember being a bright, sunny day, and he puts his finger in my chest. He says, "Ford, I'm going to keep coming after you every single day." And so I was affected by that, and I went home, and obviously I was shook up, and I told my parents about it. Well, when my dad got word of it, needless to say, as I would feel,
Old school.
yeah, it was, okay, I think I know where this kid's dad is.
Yeah.
I don't know how he knew that. He said, well, I'm going to go have a conversation with Tony's father tonight. And as soon as he said that, I knew I was going to be okay. So turns out right after dinner, he puts his shoes on, he walks around the block, and he comes back about an hour later. He comes in, he says, "Son, he won't be bothering you anymore."
Wow.
And again, it's not a sexy story. It's not. Oh my gosh, that was so enlightening. It's just a matter of, it was still somebody sticking a finger at me and trying to intimidate me. And I think that's the part of bullying that I keep with me now, is that I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
And bullying keeps going. There's no start and there's no stop. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. I know my situation with bullying was, I don't know, just I can say back in the days, it was kind of like you got picked on because you was like the poor kid.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot. You know, I was definitely a project kid, so I didn't have the name brand shoes on. My first pair of name brand shoes, my grandmother bought me 6th grade. They were some British Knights.
I remember some British, the BKs.
British Knights.
Yeah.
And I treasured those shoes. I remember when I got them, that's when they came out with this thing. They was like, it don't stand for British Knights, it stands for Black Kid. I was like, what?
I never heard that one.
Stopped wearing shoes that day, didn't wear them no more. So my grandmother bought me something else. But, you know, needless to say, a lot of my stuff, my tennis shoes, everything's Velcro, plaid, shirts, corduroy pants. I know everybody remember the corduroy pants.
Absolutely.
That little choo noise every time I hated those pants. But I got picked on for having those.
Yeah.
And then I told you my situations with my mom, that was just open season for me being bullied.
Right.
So my defense mechanism was I began to laugh at myself. So once I started laughing at myself and picking at myself about certain things, I became like the best joke cracker there was. So I would always crack jokes like, so if you I was like, all right, so you're gonna go with the mom thing. All right, you're gonna go with I don't have more clothes than you. So I was like, all right, so my joke is gonna be for the juggler. So my defense mechanism became just cracking my jokes back. I didn't necessarily have to fight anybody back, but I killed them with my words. And I think a lot of times I probably went too far with my words. So me getting bullied went from me bullying somebody else. So every time I see them, this joke was on them, which is not a good thing.
I have a similar example to that, and I'm glad you talked about the words, because I think what we'll get to later in the show, the point is it's not so much physical as it is the verbal bullying that really affects us. Kind of like the graphic that we posted this morning with the word bully, but you've got all those words that are in there in full color, and we'll break that down because there's a lot to look at. But my example is this: we talked about before in Land O'Lakes, Florida, very small town in Pasco County. We had a parade for the first McDonald's in 1984, and then we had a parade again for the first Walmart. I mean, you would have thought that Jesus Christ was coming to town when Walmart came. And but what that did is it opened up problems for me. Oh, yeah. So you said you didn't get your first pair of name brand shoes until 6th grade. I got you beat. I didn't get mine until 7th grade.
Wow. And
that seemed like forever.
Yeah.
When Walmart's brand at the time, they were trying to keep up with Nike. Nike had the open air pocket on the side. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
It was fascinating. Ooh, hydrogen gas is in your shoes, Nike Air. Well, my mom, God bless her, she was hustling, but wasn't at that financial status to get me those Nikes yet. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, and it didn't bother me. You know, she was raising me. I was seeing my dad every other weekend, and I understood that as long as I was eating and I had clothes and I was safe, the shoes would come later.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward, kids are mean, and that's an understatement. Kids find your weakness, like you said, open season, and until you get out in front of that, you are a big target. And I remember them saying, "Hey Ford," I always got called Ford throughout high school. "Hey Ford, hey winner's choice, yeah, you're a winner, huh?" You know, always just killing me for the winner's choice shoes. And you know, I'm seeing kids walking by with Nikes, and I did go to my mom eventually. I said, "Mom," I said, "please, before I go to the next grade, can we talk about me getting some real Nikes?" And again, God bless her, she sit down and listened to me. She understood that it was important to me. Mm-hmm. She saved up and she took care of it. From that point forward, I didn't wear generic shoes after that.
Oh yeah.
In fact, she really upped the game by the time I was in, I think it was 8th or 9th grade. I got my first pair of Jordans.
Wow.
And I remember that.
Wow. I didn't get my first pair of Jordans until I was an adult.
That's understandable. That's understandable.
So all the kids pick at me now for having no shoes, but they don't realize when I was their age, I couldn't afford those. So as I became an adult and got my own job, I'm like, all right, let me go buy this.
Well, it's a way of you not forgetting where you came from.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
And there's pride in that. It's not something to run from. It's saying, look, I am humble. I am doing well now. I plan on doing better.
Yes.
But I was down here before. I wasn't down here in spirit, I was just down here financially, but that doesn't define me.
Oh yeah.
Okay? And
But I know being a kid though, you don't understand that, you know.
no.
I feel like right now it's like the worst times to be a kid in, you know, be a teenager in, because there's so much hype that you have to live up to. Everybody looks at the Kardashians and they're like, hey, they are beauty, and that's what beautiful is, you know, that's what it is, and I need to shoot for that. Well, it doesn't tell you that, you know, a lot of the stuff that they got, their bodies are enhanced. They naturally, yeah, all of them are pretty girls, but they have had some enhancements to their body.
Yeah.
So a lot of young girls now are living with that expectation of like, you know, why is my body not changed? Why I don't look like a Kardashian? You know, instead of just being young or being 8 and being 9 and being 10, you are more focused on being your latter teenage years. I want to look like Khloe Kardashian. I want to look like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest hype or the biggest thing that people are, you know, teenagers shoot for. They try to imitate what they see on TV.
Yes.
And it even goes with the boys. It drives me crazy right now that boys don't comb their hair, or their hair is super long. Like,
right.
Oh my gosh, get a haircut. Comb your hair, wash your hair. You don't have to walk around with your hair looking nappy. And I understand we all had fads and had different things as we, you know, when we grew up.
Right.
You know, mine was the high top fade, the high top box, and they were like, man, you had hair. Yeah, once upon a time I did have hair.
Yeah.
I got pictures to prove it. But, you know, my grandmother was always big on, it's gonna look neat, it's gonna be combed, you're gonna look well groomed at all times.
Right.
And so I think that's something that, you know, they have to practice now, but they are just imitating what they see on TV. How many NBA players you see right now, hair is not combed, a million tattoos. Birdman, I was like, Birdman is a walking coloring book.
He pulled it off.
He definitely pulled it off.
Pulled it off.
He had, I was like, oh, how did they, like the definition on his neck, it was great to me. I like tattoos. But, you know, a lot of kids now are living with those expectations instead of just saying, I want to be like my mom, I want to be like my dad, I want to be like my teacher or my football coach or basketball coach. They're looking to entertainment to say, this is the standard. And if you're a kid or if you're a kid at school and you're not living up to those standards, they think you weird or they pick on you or they bully you. But
Well, better yet, it's what about we want them to say, I want to be me.
yes, definitely.
I think that's what we, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think
Yeah.
we're of the like mind on that.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that, I mean, you emulated people. I emulated people. Magic Johnson was my idol. I mean, I tried to play like him as closely as I did, and I pulled it off for the most part. But at the end of the day, you want to find out who you are. I want to bring up something I saw yesterday about, and this ties in to what we're doing. Mike Tyson.
Okay.
Mike Tyson is a very interesting, complicated individual. When you usually say Mike Tyson, the person who hasn't studied him will say, oh, what about him? He's got a gigantic tattoo on his face. He was world champ in the 80s and 90s, but then he went to prison and he got out and he was never the same. Okay, well, you just told me everything that everybody can Google. Why don't you tell me something else about it? Well, so yesterday he went to University of Alabama and he talked to the football team. Did you see this?
I missed this.
Okay.
Put me up on game.
Well, he delivered this message, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, you have to love yourself before you can love or even like anyone else. He said, I did not love myself when I was younger. Because he wants to go back somehow and deliver that message to his younger self. Mike, you and I grew up watching him.
Yes.
He was lost.
Yes.
He's a 21-year-old dude from the streets, literally.
Millions of dollars.
Who, to his own admission, was beating up old ladies for money.
Yeah.
And he said, I was taught and I was glorified for causing pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept doing it. He said, I hated myself. So I used my fists, which were the only things that I knew I was good at. That's the only thing anybody told me I was ever good at. So I crushed dudes' jaws and I was world champ. And then I was hitting women.
Wow.
And
wow.
I have to tell you, dude, you know, I knew that about him already, but I was sitting there and I'm like, I'm proud of him. I really am. I'm proud of him for that. It sounds weird if I'm just a regular guy saying I'm proud of Mike Tyson, who's arguably one of the top 3 boxers of all time.
Yes.
Had he not gotten in trouble, I think it's safe to say he had been the greatest of all time.
No doubt. No doubt.
But he was bullied, and then he turned into the bully.
Yep.
But he got world fame. He made over $300 million, and he lost it all, dude.
Yeah. He
So, and so you think about that. You think about the power of bullying and how it can get out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, let's shrink it there and tell me the first thing. If I say the 2018-2019 school year, what's an incident that you remember? The first thing.
First off, teenage girls. Listen, I almost have I have a preteen. She's not a teenager yet, but teenage girls are some of the middle school girls. They are some of the meanest individuals I think on the planet.
Unfortunately, yes.
It's sad to say, but it's just the form of bullying with girls is like on a whole nother level, and it's amazing that a lot of parents, like, we give our kids phones or we give them this. We just keep giving them things. And it's basically to just pacify them so we really don't have to deal with them. Like, me, I'm nosy. I'm a nosy parent. So I'm just not going to give you a phone and not ever check your phone.
Right.
A lot of parents really need to check their kids' phone. First off, I got permission app set up on my daughter's phone. Like, if she wants to download an app, have to get permission. She just can't download and have any social media that she wants to have. But these girls bully each other the most on Snapchat, because one, the message deletes as soon as they look at it and close it, and then they bully each other in text messages. So they're usually in a group chat text, just going off on people or making up pictures and making up memes and just bullying the mess out of each other. And it's like every day I was dealing with the girls with some mean stuff that was going on, and just trying to have a conversation with them, like, don't do that. Why are you doing that? Well, I don't like such and such, and I don't like her, and I don't care who knows about it. And they just go on this big rant about it, about how they don't like a person. And then you look at the other girl they're bullying, and you're like, dang. And this girl is struggling with who she is. Right. Her body hasn't developed like their body has developed yet. And they may not come from a rich or big family like this other person came from. And I tell them all the time, you never know what somebody's struggle is.
Absolutely.
So why would you pick at somebody and you don't know their struggle? Because I dealt with those situations where a girl was getting bullied, and I'm looking at her arm and I see nothing but cuts on her arm. She's cutting herself it's a mental problem, but like the get rid of the pain, to inflict pain on themselves. Kind of like Mike Tyson said, he thought that him inflicting pain on other people was all he had. So these people, they sit there and cut themselves. And then they started to fantasize about, what was that movie, 13 Reasons Why on Netflix.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And I mean, that was a huge thing the year before that a lot of them was trying to participate in, and I would find all these different girls or different teenagers that was like cutting themselves and hurting themselves. So it is a real bad situation when it comes to young ladies. I think theirs is more or less talking, text, and sending pictures. And boys, that's a whole other story. Theirs will become more or less physical. Yeah. And it's always one person getting beat and nothing happening to that person. And the most crazy part about it is a lot of this is being reported at the schools, but when that kid decides to fight back and says, you know what, I'm tired of being bullied, I'm tired of being picked on, that kid end up getting suspended or getting just as many days as the bully did. Right. Which I don't get, I don't understand. I guess I'm just old school. And I know you're not supposed to fight at school, but what point does it get to where you gotta say, I gotta defend myself somehow, nobody else is protecting me? What do you think?
Perfect segue, because in this house, and me and my fiance Demi, we agree on so much, but that's one thing that we don't agree on. We respectfully talked about stuff like this all the time. All last school year we did, because we had in our household, our children were being bullied at various times the past 2 years. So we have firsthand experience with it. Well, it got to a point where I told her, I said, look, baby, I'm going to sit down with the boys and we're going to talk. And I'm going to tell them that you don't fire unless fired upon. If somebody comes across your face, you got to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And just like you said, that you're not a proponent of fighting.
Oh, yeah.
I would never say that you need to go and find somebody to go take care of something. And keep in mind, these things have been happening to, especially our boys. They've been happening over and over and over again. And I said, I've had enough. I don't want them dealing with this anymore. And what lesson is it teaching them if they're just sitting back letting somebody talk to them derogatory, talk down to them, and then take it a step further and put their hands on them? I said, they got the green light with me.
Yeah.
That the next time it happens, because I believe there'll be a next time,
Yeah.
take care of it. I said, don't start it. You end it.
Yeah.
And again, as I've said earlier, I was so fortunate that I was never put in that position where I had to take care of it with my hands. But I have told you before, I took care of it with my words.
Yes.
And so saying that, bullying has been stereotyped for so long as it's physical.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think if you were to get a room full of people and we asked them, do you think bullying is more physical or is it verbal? I think we get the overwhelming that it's verbal, and that stays with you emotionally much longer than somebody putting their hands on you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I know with boys, the boys bully in different way. 1 minute they can be, it's kind of like the girls too, 1 minute they can be friends. And then the next day you're like an outcast. Say if you had to tell on somebody, or you was in a situation and everybody got caught, or you got caught, and it was like, well, we knew it was your friends that was with you, and they might have to say, hey, I was with this person. I see it happen in school all the time. And then they're bullied from their friend from then on. And boys, like I said, they bully different. A boy will be more or less angry. He'll really get distant, be angry about everything, take stuff out on just his siblings. Mm-hmm. You have this one kid who was just a beautiful child, and then all of a sudden he's just mean, hateful, and angry all the time. And it's like, as parents, you got to pay attention to those signs, like what's going on.
Yeah.
And and the man in them and the pride in them, I say, won't allow them to say, hey, I'm being bullied. Because as a male, you've been taught your whole life to man up.
Yes.
I mean, what are you crying about? What are you whining about? Somebody picked you, somebody took this from you, go back and take it from them. But a lot of boys, it's just not in them like that.
Right.
So I think a lot of dads fall victim to, like, I was a great football player, I was a great basketball player, I was hard. That may not be your son.
Right.
That may not be your son. I mean, it's different times now.
It is.
So we have to definitely parent different. We got to be more strategic, and we have to start looking more at the big picture, because bullying it's real in these schools. And schools can sit there and say all day, oh, we don't have any bullying going on. Yes, you do. There's always some type of form of bullying going on. We have to be careful when we're around our kids and we're just talking about politics. I mean,
yeah, we don't do it in here.
Yeah, like being a history teacher, you don't know how many students I had that told me that, I won't say president's name, but they would just say, this president is evil, or this person right here is going to take all your money, and if you're a Democrat, you're going to hell. You don't, and kids, it's like, okay, this plays upon them, and so somebody else has told their kids something different. So now you got the water boy situation going on in the classroom. Mama said. The water your mama lied.
Yeah.
So, we have to be careful what we say around our kids. We have these little impersonal minds. They're like, whatever my parents say is the truth. And a lot of kids don't get a chance to grow up. We are taught at a young age, hey, this is the way you vote. Your parents tell you, this is the way I vote,
right,
and this is why I vote. Okay, so now as I gotten older, I'm like, wait a minute. Everybody's evil on both sides. So you know what? Why don't, instead of me just labeling myself as this, why don't I just be an independent and I want to see who the best guy is? Because at the end of the day, you just got to pick the lesser of two evils.
Amen.
You're not going to agree totally what everybody says, but we are conditioning our kids to be just one-sided.
Right.
And they can't listen to reasoning. So I've had parents mad with me because their kid would be like, this is just the side of it. And in class, we talk about both sides.
Right.
And I explain to them why I can see this side and I can see that side. Let's meet somewhere along here in the middle and let's talk about it. You're not wrong, he's not wrong, she's not wrong. We all have an opinion on it. Let's talk about it. The problem becomes when we can't talk about it, when we get mad with each other for having an opinion. Why do you get mad at somebody else for having an opinion?
Right.
I mean, I can't get mad at it's just an opinion.
Right.
So it makes no sense, but that's how we set our kids up to be bullied or become little bullies and not know that they're bullying. So it's weird to me.
Well, what you said, it expounds upon the whole cliche, use your words.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it makes me proud when you say stuff about in your history classroom. Man, I'll tell you what, between me and you, we had one heck of a history department last year.
History department was on.
Because I was doing the same thing downstairs when you were upstairs. When you have one side of the room, you know, they tend to get in their own factions, don't they? They get in their own groups, these cliques, and they identify, and then they want to go head to head with the other one, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, how does this happen, number one? But okay, if it's happened, let's go ahead and deal with it. But it's just like you said, we give them the facts.
Yeah.
And then it's almost as if, okay, boys and girls, you decide how you want to view history.
Yes.
Because our history in the United States of America has so much that did happen, but I always taught them that it's still happening. It's organic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because we're looking in a book doesn't mean that it's stuck between pages.
Oh yeah.
We need to learn from it so we don't repeat it.
Exactly.
And we are seeing examples every single day. And we're not going to go down the political road.
Yeah.
Maybe next year in the election year we'll get to that. I'm
so
sure.
We're way down the line that we just don't care about.
Yeah. Because you and I love referring to history just so we can see where we are for perspective.
Oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is about talking. Everything that we're going to talk about on this show, everybody watching out there, and thank you so much for everybody keeps joining in. I see seeing a lot of action today.
Yeah.
This is going to continue to evolve. And one of our biggest things that we were so committed to when we first started talking was we want you all to grow this. This is your show. This is not about us. This is two guys sharing our experiences. We're setting the table and letting you all fill in everything on that platter.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to our focus today with bullying evolves.
Yeah.
Bullying starts as something that you think is harmless. Mm-hmm. Your kid will come home and say, "Oh, I thought somebody was bullying me today." Case in point, the saying that took over the school last year and took over social media was, "Why you bullying me?"
Yeah.
Or "Why you bully me?" Okay.
Yeah.
Quick story about this. Drove me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, I got offended by the fact that bullying was getting minimized.
Yeah.
Bullying was getting trivialized as it was a joke. And I'm like, this ain't a joke.
Yeah.
I took the kids to task in this house because our boys were saying it. They thought it was funny. Why are you bullying me? Say, hey, take out the trash, please. Why are you bullying me? After the first 20 times, I said, say it again. You're dropping and give me 10 push-ups.
Say it one more time.
Yeah. And then it was almost as if they almost, why you?
Yeah.
Don't say it. Because bullying is not funny. It's never been funny and it's never going to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we had a speaker come to North Bay Haven last year. I can't remember the gentleman's name.
Great speaker.
He was.
Yeah.
He almost got me teared up because of the way he told his story.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed that who are we to put a face on a bully? We don't know what a bully looks like. Just like we don't know what a serial killer looks like. We don't know what a child predator looks like. We don't know what a rapist looks like. We don't know what a mass shooter looks like, do we?
Yeah.
These people don't have faces.
Yeah.
Bullies don't have a toothpick hanging out of their mouth with torn up sleeves and cigarettes rolled up in there. Like maybe, I don't know what you envisioned a bully to be when you were coming up.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the picture I had in my mind, was that you'd hear some sort of good, bad, the ugly music in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Dust would be kicking up, and it'd be you and somebody else on the street, and like, uh-oh, there's a bully.
Yeah.
It ain't like that at all.
Yeah. It's bad. You know, and I'm gonna change it just a little bit right here. What about those people that put themselves in position to be bullied? We had a great conversation about what went on in town this week, just through social media.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes.
I looked at it from a different standpoint from everybody else. You know, me, I'm gonna always care about the kids first.
Right.
Listen, I've been called so many names in my life. It just doesn't bother me. But seeing young men, young women throw their lives away, that bothers me. It does something to me. And the rhetoric we had on social media this week with the kid with the gun and making the racial slurs and whoever's recording it in the background, that bothered me because I've seen the effect that it had on all of the kids in the community. I have a lot of football players, basketball players on my social media, and just the talk of what they wanted to do to this kid, it troubled me.
Yes.
Because I was like, listen, I don't want you guys to throw your life away because at some point this kid has done his life like that. And he may have been joking, but the thing is, it went too far. That right there to me is not funny at all. And I don't know who could sit back and laugh. The person that was recording it, they have issues too.
Yes.
But these kids really wanted to hurt this kid. And it's like no matter where he goes now, he's going to be bullied some type of way by somebody else. And I feel like he's really hurt his life. And I don't know. I know he goes to a certain school, but me as a parent, I had something like that. I couldn't bring my kid back to that situation. I'm like, listen, I got to homeschool you for a while, and I got to fix some things. And I don't know what goes on in that household, but some things need to be fixed. Some things need to be corrected. What do you think about those kids that put themselves in position to be bullied?
That's a tough question. What do I think about that? Well, what I'd like to know is how did we get there?
Exactly. How did
We all have a starting point. How, and I use we because I talk about it as a society. This is a societal issue.
Yeah.
This is not just an individual. This is not a color issue. It's not culture. It's society.
Yeah.
We all have some sort of part in it that we're guilty of, and we all have a responsibility to fix it. So where did it start? You and I have no clue.
Not at all.
And I am not going to point in judgment and say, well, it must be the parents. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to do that at all.
Because everything I did did not represent my parents.
Exactly.
I would go out and blow it quick and like, oh, that had nothing to do with my grandmother.
It's just like as coaches, losing a game is not a direct reflection on us. We don't play the game. Now, how did we get our players there in the first place? But the coach takes the blame. Teacher takes the blame in the classroom for kids not doing well with their testing. Parents take the blame for when things blow up on social media the way they did the other day. And you and I, we texted about it back and forth, and it's one of those where you're almost uncomfortable in the silence and you want it to go away.
Yeah.
But in today's climate, the second that you hit send or post, it's already too late.
It's there.
There's no undoing it, and that is something, Ty, that is on a level that you and I did not have to deal with when we grew up. And I don't envy these kids at all. I feel so much sympathy for them.
Yeah.
However, they have a part in that.
Yeah.
And what we teach in my house, and I know you teach it in your house, is that if you gotta think about hitting the button, don't hit it.
Oh yeah.
Same thing, if you gotta think about what's getting ready to come out of your mouth, don't say it. Because if something is compelling you to pause, then stop.
Yeah.
If it's natural and it's okay, your brain, unless you just have no filter, which, let's be honest, we know and love people who don't have filters.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can get them in trouble.
Yeah.
And then we tend to pop up and go, whoa, that's not what they meant. That's okay. It's not what. But in the case that you're talking about, This is a tough issue, dude, and it's right here in this county, and it's not something that's going to go away. And you talk about having to homeschool this kid until the heat goes away a little bit.
Yeah.
The problem is the heat's going to be on for a while because school is starting Monday.
Monday.
The first 2 weeks of school are emotional.
Yeah.
First 2 weeks are mental.
Yeah.
And what are we all in this town trying to undo and get a redo for this year? I'll give you one guess. Exactly.
My God.
Talk about football in the yard back in the day. You'd get a couple guys together, and if you didn't like a play, go, "Oh, I had a do-over."
Yeah.
We don't get do-overs in life, dude.
Nope.
I mean, if we get a second chance, that's cool, but we don't have a DVR in our life. We can't go pause and rewind and say, "Oh, maybe it'll be different this time." And you talk about you felt bad for the kid. I feel not only sympathy for him, his parents, his family, but for all of these people, whoever it is affected.
Yes.
Because we don't know how many.
Yes. I messaged a lot of players and told them to just chill, just step back, think about where you're going, not where you're at right now. And if you do something, it's gonna hurt you in the future.
Yeah.
I don't let people's words dictate the man that I'm supposed to be. If I would allow words just to dictate who I'm supposed to be, I would never become anything.
You wouldn't be
because I was told all the time I wasn't going to amount to anything. And you know, I started looking at those words. I said, you know what? I'm gonna flip those words. I'm gonna make this for the negative. I mean, make this for the positive.
Right.
So instead of keeping it a negative situation, I made it for a positive situation. But it's a lesson for all of us to learn in this situation. How do we communicate with each other? How do we talk to each other? What words are we using that a lot of people think are acceptable to use just
right.
because, well, no, we're the only person that can say this word or use this word because this is for our community. We got to get to a standpoint like, hey, this word right here has so much negativity tied with it, derogatory stuff, anything, we need to let it go. I saw an interesting conversation between some teenagers who wasn't black, and they was like, you know, that word is universal. We use that word with our friends all the time. We call each other that now. It's not just calling black people that, but this is what we call each other. But I think if they do their history and really learn what that word means, and I know it's in rap music, I know it's in music all day long, right. But if you really understand what that word meant, we took it and made it a positive thing for us. Just in how you say it, and I don't want to get into how you say it, but
yeah, that's its own show.
That's a different story. But we gotta stop using those words that are like derogatory. Because I tell kids all the time, you know, my grandmother was called that. You know, my great grandfather was called that daily, and it was so negative. And I was like, why did I grow up and start saying that word? And you know, I heard it in the house.
Yeah. And
they flipped it, but in standpoint, we was kind of like in slavery because we're calling each other names that they called us when we were slaves.
It's perpetuated.
Yeah, we have to grow from that. So, you know, the conversations I had about this kid this week, you know, I felt bad for the kids, and people were like, you got too much sympathy in your heart. But the thing is, it's a kid, and when I start looking at throwing lives away, that bothers me.
Right.
It affects me to a whole other level that, you know, you put yourself in position to be bullied. I watch players all the time do stupid things and their teammates get on them. I'm like, why did you do that? I ain't gonna pick on you all day because you did such and such. And, you know, it just really bothered me. It did something within me that I can't explain to. I was hurt on a whole other level.
It is painful.
And when you talk to adults wanted to get him. Adults wanted to get this kid, and I'm like, my God. But when you think about it, the things that he was threatening to do, I probably wouldn't want to get him myself. I don't want my daughter to go to school and be shot at or shot up. I don't want that to happen.
Well, dude, the climate that we're in right now. I mean, not only with races and cultures, but you're talking about the violence level. Just last week alone, I think we had 4 instances of mass shootings. We had mass knifings.
Yes.
And we have copycats.
Yeah, copycats are bad.
So we live in a time where our children and their friends and their peers are looking at each other and they're starting to say, are you gonna hurt me?
Yeah.
Do I know you?
Yeah.
You and I didn't have to deal with that. If somebody had a problem with you or me, we probably would hear about it face to face or over a phone call.
Oh yeah.
We didn't have social media on a cell phone because they didn't exist. And I'm gonna tell you what, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that because of the fact that if we didn't know about it, it didn't hurt us.
Oh, yeah.
That whole thing, what you don't know won't hurt you. It's true. It's true. And I'm sure there was stuff said about me that I just would rather not ever know, and I'll just take that with me forever. Because once anybody knows somebody's disrespected them, you want to take care of it. Inherently, you want to protect yourself. Speaking on this same incident, me being me, I used it as a teaching moment the other night, and I was taking one of the boys to orientation. I showed him the video.
Wow.
And I watched his face.
Yeah.
That was hard because we've talked about racism, we've talked about bullying, we've defined these things. You know, me being an English nerd, I define things. I don't let things go. I'll say, don't say that word unless you know what it means.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to use it intelligently, don't say it. I'll tell you what it means. I'll explain to you how to use it in the context. But please, son, don't say something unless you know what it is. So we talked about it, and he was affected. I don't know what other way to say it. He was affected, and I was glad. I was glad that he was affected. I was glad that it wasn't a laughing matter. I was glad that he was bothered. Like you used that word earlier, you were bothered. That's a heavy word when you think about it. And a lot of kids don't really grasp what being bothered. Well, to them they say triggered. But that's anger. He wasn't so much anger as he was like, I don't get it. The whole shaking your head as we text SMH. And I think that's the overbearing. If I had to guess, when people in Bay County saw that, and I'm sure, unfortunately, since it's social media, it's probably going to go all over the U.S. It's probably going to go viral for all the wrong reasons. I want people to be affected. I want the youth to be affected. You know why? So you don't repeat it. Let's learn from that.
Exactly. I didn't show it to my 12-year-old. My daughter, you know, she lives in a world where she doesn't understand why people hate each other. The very thought of racism hurts her. It drives her. And so I can't get her. I took her. I made her watch Selma, for instance, and it really affected her. The scene where it starts off with the little girls just going to Sunday school and church, and they're just up there and they're like, and boom, the church blows up, and she looks at me and she grabs me. She's like, Dad, what just happened? I said, well, the church was bombed, baby. Why was the church bombed? That's why they were bombing black churches back then. She does not know a world like that. I explain racism to her. She hates racism. She hates the very thought of racism. And so for me, I know that video will affect her a different way. I want her to believe or to think, yeah, baby, everybody likes you. I know I can't let her live in that fantasy world all the time, but I tell her about racism. But in her mind, everybody gets along, everybody likes her. But she's able to recognize when people are mistreating her because of the color of her skin. She had a situation with a teacher, and the teacher separated them, and she's like, wait a minute, this is not fair. And she talked to me about it, and I told her, you don't go to adults, you allow me to handle it. And she told me the scenario, the situation, and I spoke to the teacher, and she was like, I wasn't doing it that way. That's kind of like how, and then she's like, dang, that is bad. Why did I do it that way? And she didn't realize there was a mistake in what she had going on. So we was able to correct those things. But to my 12-year-old, she doesn't understand why people don't like each other just because you're a different shade or this person's a different shade, because she's always had friends of every nationality and color. She doesn't know stuff like that. And we don't teach her to be hateful. I don't teach her to be spiteful. And like I said, racism is a taught thing. And then a lot of stuff where it's probably really not racism, it's just ignorance. People don't know that was offensive.
That's the word.
And so those things need to be corrected, need to be talked about, but it's always better when you have diversity. Looking at what happened with Gucci. Now I'm a Gucci fan. I love Gucci. The only thing I can afford is some Gucci shades I bought off Amazon.
Right.
For a great price.
Right.
But I got those Gucci shades. I would love to have more Gucci stuff, but Gucci put out I think it was like a Scully cap. And on the Scully cap, it had it would look like my face. It was big pink lips on it. And it was basically, they called it their monkey something. So therefore, black people didn't take that well. I didn't take it well at all. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Now, do I think Gucci was trying to be directly racist? No.
Probably not. No.
I just feel like they didn't have anybody up in there to have the conversation with them.
It was insensitive.
To say, wait a minute, you can't do this. You need diversity in everything that you do. So you need diversity at work, you need diversity at school. That way you learn everybody's culture and everybody's background. So they didn't have anybody up in there that could say, hey, this would be offensive if you put this out. So they put this thing out and it was like a landslide of people going crazy. So I think it's a huge difference between being racist and being just ignorant to a lot of things. So a lot of kids make some dumb mistakes that are just ignorant mistakes and not necessarily racist.
You're absolutely right. Well, and unfortunately that word racism gets thrown around all the time. Like you'll hear a kid joke in the hallway and say, oh, you want to be in the white chair instead of the black chair. What are you racist towards chairs?
Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
I stopped that dead in its tracks. And people say, gosh, you're too serious about it. What do you mean I'm too serious about it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you, it's not funny. I'm funny.
Yeah.
I'm a funny dude, but that's not funny.
That's not funny. Yeah.
To switch gears, because look again, we could. The beautiful thing about this, and I'm talking to everybody watching, is that we have material for days. We have material for days, and we're so excited to get to all of it. So we have to police ourselves with okay, let's stay on track. If anybody had a chance to look at the graphic that we posted this morning where it says bully, and it's in full color, please read all the words that are inside that. Mm-hmm. Because that breaks down inside of a very well done picture. That's what bullying is. Yeah. Bullying is not a face, we joked about earlier. It is not a certain kind of person. Anybody can do it. Yeah. Most of us probably have bullied in some way, even if we didn't mean to be. We might have indirectly bullied somebody. Only they know if we bullied them. Yeah. That just alone makes me go, I don't like myself for that. And see, and to my own admission, to people who grew up with me, I'm a smart aleck. I haven't changed. I've just learned how to filter it. I use it when it's appropriate now. But I did embarrass people when I was coming up.
That's how we capture our classrooms. I think you have a smart attitude. Like kids are always going to look at their little jokes and we'll be like, yeah, really, this.
And they go, oh, roasted.
They're like, okay, I can't play with him.
Exactly.
I understand now.
Use it as a weapon.
Yeah.
Use sarcasm as a weapon, and I said I'm a Jedi Knight at it.
Yeah.
I have met very few and far between people that's on my level with that. I didn't need these. Yeah. I use my control of the English language, but on a local level, when we talk about bullying, I know you saw and heard this as well, and it deeply affected me. We came back from after the storm. Mm-hmm. We were out of school for 4 weeks. We were the first school to come back, and so all of a sudden, we call them our kids, the ones that we're teaching, they're coming back, if they were lucky enough to come back, in mismatching clothes, mismatching shoes, socks, you name it. Yeah. That was hard. That was really, really hard, because as a parent, that's the part that I feel like is a reflection on me, that I don't want my kid looking disheveled and out of control and disorganized, but inside I felt that I wasn't ready to come back to work. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel ready for a long time, but we had to be there for the kids. So, we had to adjust the rules in the school like everybody else did, to say, hey, well, if so-and-so can't come to school today with the right kind of polo, it's cool, don't worry about it. But dang it, man, if I didn't still hear bullying, if I still didn't hear the usual suspects that every school has, and it's part of our job to coach them up and to help them, but boys being boys, girls being girls, it still happened. And that was something I felt myself almost being an advocate for those kids that were getting bullied. I felt myself using sarcasm to stop that stuff, and I would do it in the hallway, dude. I had no qualms about the hallway being full during changing period time, and somebody would try to punk somebody right in the hallway, and I'd say, oh, well, it kind of looks like, I mean, of course you got yourself all together, they too. I mean, you know, look, you got different colored shoelaces with that, you know, so unfortunately what I'm telling everybody, guys, I'm calling myself out. I became a bully because I was trying to protect another kid that was getting bullied.
I got you.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
You became bullied for a good cause.
I guess. Yes, thank you for spinning it.
Hey,
yeah.
You know what? Speaking on the storm taught me, showed me a lot of interesting things. So, a lot of people that are rich, like really rich, they live on another planet.
You're right.
They live on a totally,
You're right,
a whole new planet. Whatever they want, they can get.
Yes.
But this storm put everybody on the same level, at least for some months, some days, some weeks. For instance, there was this lady in a Bentley.
Wow, a Bentley.
We were all trying to get gas and stuff at Sam's. The line was from Sam's to by the bridge. She drove all the way down the middle lane and got right up to the front where she can turn in, and everybody was looking at her like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The police officers looked at her and said, oh, ma'am, I don't care about your Bentley. Back in the line. You are a person just like everybody else.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people that, like you said, like I said earlier, they live on another planet when they got bukus of money. This storm, what it did was it put all of us in the same level. I told you there was a time when everybody had to help everybody. And now you're starting to see, okay, stuff is starting to open back up again, and people are becoming mean, they're becoming driving bullies, they're becoming that bully, and you know, it's just not kids that get bullied.
Oh no.
Adults bully others. If you are better off in life, you seem to bully the people under you. Then if you're in the middle class, you're bullying the poor people. Like, why can't you come up? Why can't you do this? And it put us, that storm put us all on the same level. And I kind of want to switch gears here, if we can. I want to talk about just being bullied as an adult, being at work, being bullied by certain people.
Very real in the workplace.
I'll even take it a step. Let's go here. This is going to be.
I know where you're
being
going.
on a coaching staff.
Yeah.
And your leader of your coaching staff, your head coach, is bullying all the assistant coaches. Like, what gives you the right to cuss at another grown man? He's on your coaching staff trying to help you, but your ego is so big that you can't listen to anybody else on your coaching staff. So therefore, you turn around and start bullying your coaches. And I've been on staffs where that was just going on. Right. And you know, I'm gonna pull the guy over and I'm gonna say, hey, listen, I don't talk to anybody that way.
Right.
I'm never gonna talk to you that way, and I expect the same respect from you. I don't give a dang what your title is. I don't care who you are, what your parents are. You are a man just like me. Right. You put your pants on just like I do. But these guys on coaching staffs are trying to learn from that head coach, and in turns, he's making life miserable for them. I remember playing high school football. There was one coach that all the coaches bullied. He didn't know anything else but they picked on him every day. They cursed at him every day. And when you do those type things in front of the football players or in front of the players, the basketball players, those players turn around and do the same thing. They feel like they can talk to this coach in kind of way.
Right.
So you have taken the power that this man has as a coach. Let's even go further with that. Me as a black man, me as a person of color, you have a lot of kids on that coaching staff that are on that football team that are children of color. They're black children. They're mixed. It's all over. So they look at me, they be like, oh wow, man, you made it. So when I get older, I want to be like Coach Ty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you as a head coach, you come up and you start cursing me out. You degraded me in front of these kids that look up to me.
Right.
And I challenge these head coaches, if you feel like you got to cuss at your coaching staff, you need to check something within yourself. Because that's not being a man. You are raising young men who don't have a father figure,
Right.
or don't have a person at home that's going to teach them how to do right. You are the only father figure they see, and you are a belligerent idiot running around cussing out your coaching staff. Shame on you guys that do that. That is like the most disrespectful thing you can do as a man, and that's not a coaching staff that I want to be a part of. I've lived that in the past. I've experienced that in the past. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be the man. I had situations where a coach cussed at me. It enraged my football players. They was hot. They was ready to quit and just walk away.
Right.
And I said, no, I'm going to show you how a real man carries himself. Now, if you want to be that 40 years from now, that idiot, God forgive me for calling the person an idiot. That's not right. But if you want to be that, that's how you act. But if you want to be a man like me, this is how I carry myself. I'm not running at and trying to start an argument with anybody. I'm not going to bully another person because I understand how that feels. But some of these guys we look to as great representatives are teaching our kids to be little bullies. So if you down talking your coaching staff, or you're down talking another player, like degrading him, calling him something other than his name, you are just teaching your team to do the same exact thing. So I always look for a coaching staff to where there is love. And it's got to be love, it's got to be the right teaching, it's got to be all those things. And if it don't have those things, I'm not on it. I'm not going to be a part of it.
Right.
And you'll see me there because I'll finish those years out. But the next year, you will definitely see me somewhere else because we are raising little bullies when we do that. And in order to be a great player or a great coach, you don't have to do those things. You can treat everybody fair, you can treat everybody with love, you can treat everybody with respect. Some of the greatest teams, they preach Jesus.
They do.
They just do.
You're right.
They preach Jesus. So in one stand, we're going to preach Jesus and Him crucified, and then on the next side, we want to crucify everybody else. So you can't be talking with two different tongues. So that that right there, I hate to go on a tyrant right there, but that right there really affects me because I see it doing something to our children. And I don't care about anything else but our children, our players, male, female, my coaching staff. I always taught my players, I was teaching them for the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So it might seem hard in high school when I was teaching you our little league, but I was getting you ready for the next level. So that's how I'm going to coach you. A lot of guys don't coach that way.
No,
they coach for right now. I'm trying to save my job. I just want to win county, or I just want to win 2 games, and that's it, and be done with it. We got to get out of that. There is so much talent in Bay County that Bay County we shouldn't be at the bottom of the barrel. We should be on a whole nother level. And I think a lot of these guys around here got to check themselves. And when you start checking yourself and you start changing the way you do things and actually listen, sky's the limit.
I appreciate you saying all that. And if it makes you feeling better, Ty, the root word of idiot means one who lives in one's own world. So you didn't say anything offensive.
Oh my gosh, he's definitely.
You didn't say. And so people don't know what that word means, and I make them laugh when I tell them, like, oh, well, that's really not that mean at all. Like, no, I kind of like to live in my own world. Call me an idiot. Yeah. No, I do have to. I'll reflect briefly on at the heart of what you just said, and I haven't told many people this, but what you were talking about. In the midst of that was part of what really got me burned out last year.
Yeah.
That was, I'm not going to say it was the beginning, but it was something that added to it because I had never experienced anything like that before. And in the midst of such a season that we were in, which was a nightmare. On every level, and we kept coming back. And we kept coming back every day, and putting our best foot forward, and just who we are. That's who we are. We kept coming back, and then boom, Hurricane Michael comes, and it was just like, really?
Yeah.
After all this, and then season was over.
Mm-hmm.
There was no, can we just get one more game to make it right? It was boom, it was done. And then the dust settled and none of us had a say over anything.
Yeah.
And so to what you were saying, to take it another step is just to illustrate further, bullying doesn't have a face. It's not even really a human being. It's an entity, it's an insidious mind process. It's a thought process, it's an emotion that perpetuates.
Yeah.
And it's just like anything else that's important enough. It takes a lot of hard work to step in the way. And it's not enough just to stop it or say, please don't say that. You got to be a part of the solution. How are we going to get in front of this? How are we going to get kids to retrain their brains? And coming up in just 2 days, our kids go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
Bay County goes back to school, and I'm talking to all y'all out there who have been coached by us, who have been taught by us both, who we run into on the street. Please, guys and girls, please, I'm begging you, treat each other well. It's like I put the hashtag, be the change.
Yeah.
Be the good in the world. I know that's not always cool. I'm not saying to have a smile on your face like permagrin 100% of the day. I know as a teenager, you really think that you got it bad, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to be an adult in a few years. You're going to be paying bills. A lot of you are having the time of your life right now. You don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all who are getting ready to strap on the helmet and the pads and start for real next Friday night. The Friday night lights go on. Some of you are starting your senior season. Some of you, that's the last bit of football you're ever going to play. If we're really going to be real about it, and that's another show for another time about really understanding what you have when you have it.
Yeah.
If Hurricane Michael taught us anything, I pray to God it taught us to love on each other, to make sure we know exactly how we feel about each other if something happens tonight.
Mm-hmm.
When we part from here after the show tonight, when you leave, I know how we feel about each other.
Yeah.
I know that we're brothers no matter what. There's no question in my mind, and you have no questions about me.
Oh yeah.
And guys and girls, men and women all over, if we can start doing that one by one, man, we can change things, dude. We can really, really change things. And this word bully, I'm not saying it's going to become a thing of the past tomorrow, next week, next year, or even 10 years. But it's got to start somewhere. And why can't it start on the first day of school this year? For 2019-2020, can all y'all please set a goal that you're going to treat one person better every single day that you put your clothes on?
Exactly.
Please.
Exactly. I just want to say to my past students that I won't get to see this year in the classroom, but I'll definitely be out checking on you guys. I definitely want you guys just to, I want you to embrace every moment. Don't be so angry all the time. Don't be so quick to judge. People are going to make you mad all the time, but you have to start realizing, are those situations really worth me getting in trouble from one, or having my parents take off from work, having to come out to school? You guys got to start making executive decisions. Like, all right, I'm going to be good this year. I'm going to go ahead and go forward with my life. I'm not going to worry about what everybody else is doing. I'm going to do the right thing. I challenge all you guys this year to definitely do the right thing. I challenge you adults who are bullies at work. Usually the bullies grow up and they're like managers at work, or sometimes some craziness like that.
Right.
But if you're bullying people at work just because people need to take off and do things, everybody's in a situation now where they got to get their house fixed. They're talking to insurance adjusters.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing this. Stop bullying those folks. Everybody that's right now that's price gouging on rent, like, cut it out. I know the market is crazy and people need places to live, but you are bullying folks with rent.
That's another example.
I mean, like, places that used to be $600 are like $1,200. People have double the rent, and the place that I knew and loved and I grew up in, it's not what it used to be. It's bad. They're going to outprice Panama City.
Oh yeah, people are leaving every day.
And people I love staying in New York right now. One of my best friends moved to New York about a month ago because of the storm. He went to go be with his family. And these are the situations we're living in. He couldn't find a place to stay, a place that was affordable. We are all staying in those situations right now where we're being bullied basically out of Panama City. And it's time for us guys to come together, start figuring things out, start having those conversations. And, you know, just because you feel right about a situation doesn't necessarily mean it's right. You can let my wife tell it all the time, I swear I'm right, but I don't always be right.
Right.
And I'm man enough to say I'm not always right. I have an opinion about it, but it seems like her opinion wins more than mine.
Well, you have to let it win, let's be honest.
Yeah, she's a bully, man.
You're making a joke.
But I'm just saying though, as a people, we need to come together. These are hard times we're living in. We hadn't seen these times. Pay attention to your kids. They don't have any privacy. Until you start paying your own phone bill and you're paying your own bills out your house, they don't have any privacy. I'm going to check your phone. You need to check your kid's phone.
Yes, absolutely.
If they got a Snapchat, you definitely need to have it. There's not a kid that stays in my house that I don't know the passcode to their phone. If you are that parent and you're allowing your kid to have something in their house with a password on it that you don't know, you need to fix that problem. That's not for me to do it, but that's for you to fix that problem. Because you might have a situation where your kid is being bullied or might be bullying someone else. Look on their camera roll. They got so many fights from school on there. That's another situation we didn't even touch on.
Right.
But a lot of kids, all they do is watch fights or record fights. That is a form of bullying. Once you post it, and you can be suspended from school or possibly expelled from school, depending on what the fight looked like. We got to do a better job as parents and get back to parenting our kids and stop waiting for a Coach Ty or a Coach Ford at school to police our kids up. I'm gonna leave with this. Somebody said this week on it was on either my Facebook or my Instagram page that as a matter of fact, it was a Miss Amanda Bell. Thank you, Miss Amanda Bell. You said something that really struck out to me. I mean, like, wow, that is so true, and I didn't think of it. But she's like, hey, if you want your kids to play for this guy or play for, he is a great guy. He's one of the best coaches I know, and he's going to tell you things about your kid that you don't even know. Your kids are comfortable with telling me things that they're not comfortable telling you with. Mm-hmm. I had a situation last year where a young lady was going through a situation where a boy kept filling on her. Uh-oh. She came to me and told me. She was in a teacher's classroom. This was a lady teacher. I told the teacher what went on and how I had to go report what went down in her classroom, but I wanted to give her a heads up. And then she said, well, why did she not feel comfortable with telling me that? Because I'm a woman. I said, that's a question you have to ask yourself. So, needless to say, you fast forward 5 minutes later, me, her, the girl, we're all in the room together. First thing comes out of this teacher's mouth is, well, I want to know what you did to make him do that to you.
What?
What did he do? What did you do to make him feel on you? And I looked at her and I said, that's why she's not comfortable with telling you anything. I watched this week, and I told him, I said, it used to be a thing when women stuck together. I watched this week where a woman brought up accusing somebody of doing something to her. Everybody in the comment section was bullying this lady. They were saying, there's no way that this happened to you. And I'm like, these are women. And usually women stick together when stuff like that happens and they say, hey, I've been through it, I'm there for you, you need anything. But now everybody wants to bug us down with their opinion. And like I said, if it's just your opinion, that's fine. We all have opinions. But when you want to beat me up with your opinion and treat me bad because I have an opposite opinion of what you have, that's where the problem with bullying lies.
Exactly
and
right.
We definitely got to cut that out.
Couple things, and then we're going to get out of here. You know I love teasing things that we're going to talk about. So, 2 months from today is going to be the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Michael.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, and please be thinking of some things that you would like us to share on our show, and I mean that. Give us some situational things if you feel comfortable doing it, because look, we're all healing.
Yeah.
I have told Ty on a number of occasions that, only only, as of about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I was still very vulnerable. I wouldn't even go out in my backyard.
Wow.
We still don't have a fence up like a lot of you out there, and all I see when I look out in my backyard is that day.
Yeah.
My brain is stuck there, and I have been forever affected by that. And as a grown man, that's hard for me to deal with, because again, as coaches, we always say, on to the next thing, next man up, be strong. That one, getting back to your point earlier about rich and poor, that was the great equalizer.
Oh man.
That was the one that put the hammer down and said, you know what, we're all on the same team right now. We all wear the same jersey.
Whew.
And if it's got holes all over it and you don't have AC and you're going to be in 8 different rental houses, then guess what? We're going to play on that same team until everybody is better again. And guys, all of you who don't live in the Panama City area, I'm going to tell you, I'm looking right in the camera right now, and this is personal to me. We're not okay. We are so far from being okay, and we're not looking for sympathy, so please stop being condescending. I don't want to hear any more of that stuff. We're not okay because of myriad of reasons, and most of them have nothing to do with what we did.
Oh yeah.
We're being used out here. We're being abused out here. We didn't ask for this. And for people who live here and you're not being nice to your neighbor, shame on you.
Shame.
Shame on you. And I'm praying for you every day.
Yeah.
I got honked at again just because I wasn't turning left quickly enough for somebody today. And Demi, to her credit, said, Dave, because she saw me leaning, I was getting ready to put my window down and I was going to give a look. And she said, Dave, and I said, okay. She said, you don't know if she's hurting. And I said, you're right. You're right. Okay? Last thing I do want to share, and this is something I brought to Ty on my way into work yesterday. This was heavy on my heart. And we are in the midst of trying to pull off something that could be really, really big. You know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm excited. I am so excited because we're working on something to try to get as many students, student athletes, adults, anybody who could fit in one building, one night. We're not going to put a title on it yet, but it does have to do with the choices that you're making. Not on the field, not on the court. If you're going to that party on a Friday night or a Wednesday night, God forbid, I know what happens. On a Saturday night, when I grew up, it was people would go hang out in the McDonald's parking lot Monday through Friday, drinking beer. I'm talking about addiction, y'all. It's a nasty, nasty word. Ty has dealt with it as a child. He saw it right in front of him. I was affected as a spouse and as a father. We have things that we work through, I'm sure, in a mental checklist every single day. And sometimes it is conscious, and sometimes it's subconscious. If you haven't seen the story of Chris Herron on the 30 for 30 special, I urge you strongly to watch it. It's on ESPN Plus. It's out on DVD. Our public speaking engagement is going to center on his story, but what he just put out a couple weeks ago was talking about kids.
Yeah.
And how are they dealing with things? And it's not just the hard drugs, Ty. It's the cutting. It's the stuff that happens in quiet rooms that we don't know about. And that's something else. As a dad, I have dealt with directly, and that breaks my heart. So I called him up yesterday. In fact, I texted you as I was driving, which I know I shouldn't be doing that. I said, dude, can I call you? And he said, give me 20 minutes. And I was like, dang it, I want to talk to you now, you know? So I got into work and I went outside and I called him and I poured my heart out to him. And I said, I want us to talk to your football team. I want us to talk to your Rutherford football team. Ty, to his credit, this is why I love him so much. He wants to take it bigger. He said, why not Bay County?
Yeah.
And I said, why not?
Yeah.
So we're working on that. Please keep your eyes and ears open. We're going to get some sort of flyer going out there. We're going to hype this thing because we want as many people there to get there. It's going to be special. It is going to be emotional. This town needs this, and we're not trying to be heroes.
Yeah.
But we are two men and we feel compelled to do something for kids, for young adults, and even people our age, then let's do it.
Oh yeah. And if you know a place that is willing to allow us to have an event like that, motivational speaking, we want to be able to feed the kids, possibly have some giveaways. All these different organizations are always giving out scholarships. Let's all collab together and do something for our kids of Bay County, Florida. If there's something that you want to help us with, be involved in, please get in contact with us. We are ready to go forward with everything. I mean, I'm telling you, the places this show has just went in a month or so, it has just like blown my mind.
4 weeks, that's all it's been.
I know. Someone reminded me, my uncle was on the radio for 38, 40 some odd years. For those that know CC locally here in Bay County. I had no desire to be on the radio. And he always told me how good his voice was on the radio. He'd be like, it's 99.3 The Beat. So he would break it down. And now I'm following in his footsteps. Like his legacy. And it's amazing how far God will take you. But I do want to send a shout out, Aaron Paley. Thank you for the t-shirts.
Oh, thanks, Coach.
Hashtag JOBPODCAST. That's Coach Paley's wife, his better half. We thank you for the t-shirts. I love my t-shirt. Hashtag JOBPODCAST. We're going to have a lot of great things coming out. And I appreciate you, Coach.
We are, absolutely.
Another great show.
Thank you, brother. Hey.
Appreciate you.
Everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. Everybody that's been messaging, both Ty and myself along the way. Gosh, the production is going through the roof. You are participating, and we need you to keep doing that. Keep liking and sharing on YouTube all through the week. Yeah. Again, there's no shortage of material and motivational messages that we want to put out there. We're doing it for you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. You parents out there, rest very deeply. School is right around the corner.
Enjoy next week, parents.
It takes a village. Let's raise these kids right. Let's do it with love in our heart. Let's do it with smiles and treating kindness. For Coach Ty, I'm Dave Ford. Peace. God bless.